Hello, and welcome to Honest Philosophical Ramblings. Today I wanted to talk about digital detoxing. And it's an important subject because I feel like social media, the digital world, has made things to be too accessible, and accessible quote because a lot of things are not quite as accessible as they seem, and how that affects your psychological state and how it impacts your mood and your mental health in general. So, all of this technology is affecting your dopamine system. So, as soon as you wake up and you start scrolling through your phone, that is already triggering your dopamine system in your brain. So, you're waking up, you haven't even started the day, that's already offsetting the balance in your brain. You want to watch some entertainment. You're scrolling through TikTok, or you want to watch a movie on Netflix. All of those things are hitting your dopamine system all the time. Even when it comes to dating. So you're opening up an app and you're swiping left and right. And maybe you exchange a few messages, even if it leads to nowhere. That is already affecting your dopamine system in your brain. And if we expand that a little bit more to the developed world, you're hungry and you just go to your fridge and you eat something. Or let's say that you are feeling like you want to watch some porn. That is accessible. That is obviously affecting your dopamine system, as so is the food, so is scrolling through social media, etc., etc. And basically what is happening with all of these things is that is affecting your state in general. And there seems to be some sort of correlation between all these things that are available to our brain that gives us all this dopamine release. And there seems to be a correlation there with depression. So a lot of what happiness is the pursuit of a dopamine release. So let me explain that a little bit. So evolutionarily speaking, if you were hungry, you had to go and hunt and gather. You had to follow the herd or the caribou or whatever, and then through a lot of hard work, eventually you have your meal. Or in an agriculture sense, you have to work on the farm, plow the fields, and through all the hard work, that is eventually going to turn into food for your community. Or in a dating sense, before you had to ask people out and get rejected a vast majority of the time. And then you would have to do some courtship, and then you have a conversation with someone, and it leads into a few dates, and then eventually it turns into something more. And then maybe you would eventually sleep with that person. So it is the pursuit, that long pursuit of that dopamine release. But now, you don't even have to do any of that. You could just have that instant dopamine release by watching porn. And all of that is affecting your brain. And a really good book that everybody should read is a book called Dopamine Nation. And it's a book written by, I believe she's a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I think she's a psychiatrist. And the book is all of these different stories of real patients of hers without identifying features. The names have been changed, etc., of course, for privacy. But it's all these stories of a lot of these patients that had some sort of an addiction. Maybe it was an addiction to porn, or an addiction to food, an addiction to a drug, and how all of these things affect your everyday life. And with a lot of us, maybe we don't even realize how it's affecting us. In the sense that maybe you're thinking, I'm not addicted to any drugs, or I'm not addicted to food, or I don't have a big problem with porn, I only watch sometimes, or whatever it may be. Most of us don't realize how technology is affecting us every single day. And your brain has this sort of balance. Your brain has a balance, and you have a balance of pain and pleasure. There's a reason why ice baths are becoming more and more popular. And there's actually some scientific evidence behind this. If you start your day with an ice bath, you sit in the ice for a number of minutes. Yes, that's going to cause a lot of pain in the short term, but that pain that you're feeling increases your dopamine for hours and hours into the day. And for the most part, you're going to feel fantastic. And in the old days, it's like when you had to hunt and gather, you had to plow the farms, all of the hard work and like the pain and the effort, there's a balance between your highs and your lows. So, or even when it comes to dating, etc., then the high is going to be higher. But because we have dopamine release accessible without the work and the pursuit of that release. And a lot of what happiness is, or I don't want to say happiness, but a lot of what a state of being in a good balanced place psychologically is the pursuit of that dopamine release. So let's say that you're working towards something. You haven't achieved the goal, but you love that goal. You have a passion for it. That is what's driving you. And you can kind of see this, like, for example, when people retire, even if they had their dream career, a lot of the times they get depressed because what was giving them the satisfaction in life was the pursuit of the goal. And there's a reason why a lot of people, when they reach their goals, they want more, or they just feel dissatisfied. There's a reason for that, because once you reach the goal, then what is there for you to work towards? And all of these reasons is why I believe that digital detoxing is really important. So what can you do? When you wake up, don't look at your phone for like 40 minutes. Just try. Wake up, don't look at your phone for 40 minutes. If you watch porn, even though it's hard for a lot of people, you shouldn't watch it. And that's not to shame sex workers or anything like that. That is a whole different topic. But it is a fact that when you have this constant dopamine release in your brain, that does affect your general well-being. Now, and of course, there's also, you're going to have issues in real life with being able to stay aroused and so forth. But, cutting back from the screen in general is a great place to start. Something that I've personally done is I unfollowed most of my friends on Facebook. I did not delete them. I unfollowed them. So they're on my friends list. I just don't see their posts. And I haven't seen most of my friends' posts for about 3 years. And what I found out as soon as I did that is I'm not seeing a lot of the arguments that happen on social media. Anger gives the most engagement on Facebook. That's usually at the top of your feed. So I don't see a lot of that. I don't see a lot of my friends' political posts or their political opinions. And when I find out what's going on with my friends, I find out in person. And I think that is something that's like quite beautiful. And I think that's something that's quite beautiful, that I get to genuinely see who they are every time that I hang out with them versus just seeing their posts on social media. And when you see someone's post on social media, it can also be really easy to judge that person. So if that person is posting something that you don't agree with politically, next time that you hang out with that person, you're going to have this like feeling of, oh, that person shared that article. But we don't know the entire picture of how that person is thinking. And something else that I do, aside from unfollowing my friends on social media, is I find it helps me have more genuine connections in person. Because I am finding out what they're up to only in person. So it gives me even a bigger reason to try and socialize versus just like chatting on the phone. I don't have TikTok on my phone. With YouTube, it can be a little bit hard, but if you hide the YouTube shorts, it should keep them hidden for a certain period of time, and they will pop up again, but then you can just like hide those posts. Because the YouTube shorts, the Facebook Reels, TikTok, all of that stuff, it gets very addicting. And even for me, like, I start scrolling through Facebook Reels, and before you know it, it's been half an hour, and that's not something that I want to do. And also, it's not something that you want to do, because guess what? It's going to affect your dopamine in your brain. It's going to affect the balance in your brain. And overall, that is going to affect your overall state of being, your state of wellness. So digital detoxing is really important. And one of the first things that you should do is just wake up, don't check your phone for at least the 45 minutes when you start the day. Consider not deleting your friends, but considering the following. Or let's say that you have just your 10 close friends, or if you're introverted, your 2 close friends, or whatever it is. You don't need to see posts of hundreds of people or thousands of people sometimes. I know I don't, and I don't regret having unfollowed almost 1,000 people on my friends list. They're still there. I can still message them. They don't know that I've unfollowed them because they're still on my friends list. But it's something that has been positive to me in my mental health. So I would consider doing that as well if I were you. And then you're going to find that when you have more time that you're not overly consumed, you're going to have more time to do things in person. You're going to have more time to talk to your friends in person, or go out on a walk, or like sit by the beach, or maybe you like drawing and you're going to start, some art. And all of those things are going to be good for your well-being. And just remember, the more that you're on your phone, the more that you're scrolling through all these posts, the more that you're watching porn, like the more that you're doing all these things, all this constant dopamine release, it's keeping you at a state where I believe that it makes you more prone to depression and psychological stress, because we didn't evolve to just have dopamine release on hand whenever we want. We didn't evolve like that. So then you're going against what your brain was designed to do for over hundreds of thousands of years. So of course that's affecting your state of mind, and of course that's like giving you like depression, and of course like when you don't have to work towards that dopamine release, like what is there to do? And I think that's part of the reason why people are also suicidal to an extent, because they feel like, what's the point of living? Like, what is the point if the pursuit of this, release is not there anymore? But the good news is that you can do something about it. You can. And the easiest place to start is to just dial back on your screen time, dial back on social media, and you will see how it will slowly start to change your life.